Just because you're right doesn't mean you need a rock. Just because you're right doesn't mean you need a rock. I mean, that's what they were looking for, right? The onlookers came, they came with rocks in their hand. They were ready. They had sharp rocks, jagged rocks, big rocks. They were professional rock throwers. And they were there, we're right. And Jesus goes, yes, I know you're right. Yes, adultery is wrong. But just because you're right, it doesn't mean you need a rock. See, I expect the world to throw rocks. I expect, like, when I'm on social media, people that don't believe in Jesus or are followers of Jesus, I understand they're gonna throw rocks. They're gonna say hateful things about different races. They're gonna bash the president. They're gonna bash people who live alternative lifestyles. They're gonna stand outside abortion clinics and picket the heck out of those girls. I get that from the world, but we're not the world. We are kingdom, and we are supposed to act differently than the world. We don't act like culture. We act like kingdom, and among Christians, it should be different. Just because you're right, it doesn't mean it needs a rock. Is what you're saying adding more wood to the fire? Or are you putting water on things that are, like is it uniting people, or is it creating more gaps? Is it bringing your family together, or is it making your sister hate your brother even more? Is it honoring your pastor, or is it tearing apart the church that Jesus died to build? Is it an honor of leadership and authority over your life, or is it causing your work environment to be more dysfunctional, or your marriage to get more hateful, or your parenting with your kids, or your kids with your parents to get more divisive? Is what you're doing giving justice, or is it giving relief? Jesus is basically saying, hey, we don't throw rocks, church. We throw relief. We don't throw rocks. We throw relief. Because here's the reality, right? So we got abortion clinics, and here's the truth. Abortion's wrong. It's a sin. And we could go to these clinics and we could stand outside with these big old signs, with these big old pictures of babies, yelling at all the girls coming out, you're going to hell for the sin you're committing, and we're right. And yes, you would be 100% right. But that does nothing for their soul. And so you do that, you stand outside, you got your picket fence, you got your shirt on, you feel all good about yourself, and then a month goes by, 2 months go by, and conviction sets into that girl's heart, and somehow Jesus keeps drawing her, and then she shows up to Fresh Life, but you happen to be the person standing outside the door that was with the picket sign, and now you're this person outside the door with the Fresh Life t-shirt talking about, welcome to church. You know what that girl's gonna say? I ain't going to this church. They throw rocks. Here's what I would say. Before you say, pray. Matter of fact, if you won't pray about it, don't post about it. If you're unwilling to take it to God, to get His heart, to get His thought, to get His motive, to get His grace, don't you dare say something on behalf of God that He did not say because you had an opinion. Get to this posture the moment you come off the rock. And what you're saying is, I don't trust God to fix it, so let me. God, you're taking too long. I'm coming off the rock, and I'm gonna chuck some because I want to make sure that justice is served. See, that's what the Pharisees wanted. They wanted justice to be served on that woman. And so they said, hey, look, the law says to stone her. Jesus like, I know what the law says. I wrote it. I know exactly what it says. They wanted the woman dead. What Jesus knew was she was already dead. And by throwing a rock would have just gave her what she was. And so we can stone her, but she's already dead. You don't know it, people, but the fact that she's sleeping around with different men is a great depiction that there's a hole in her soul. She's a dead woman walking. And so what I offer is not more death. I offer life. God threw a rock, so we don't have to. What am I saying? When they were there and they demanded a rock, they said, you know what? We demand a rock. The law says to stone her, and we've got rocks ready to throw at her. What Jesus was essentially saying was like, she's going to get stoned. God has already settled this. She is going to pay for her sin. But I'm the rock. God sent me to be the chief cornerstone. That all sin, all guilt, all condemnation would rest upon my shoulders. So you're demanding judgment, but I am the payment. That Jesus, God said, you know what? You guys wanted rocks? I'm gonna give you one rock for all mankind so that you don't have to throw rocks anymore, that you could continue to throw the same relief that I saw. I know the world was in sin, but while you were sinners and enemies of God, I sent my son at just the right time to reconcile you back to the Father. Even though you were drowning in your sin, I love the world so much that I sent my rock from heaven to die on a cross, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life that's built on the rock.